First of all, we have an assumption here that the Google Maps is the place to like be focusing your efforts on. You talk about leverage as a business owner. Where can I spend my money on SEO and getting ranked and get the most value out of it? We believe, and I would say most people will believe Google Maps is where it's at. And the data actually says that way more people use Google Maps. And so that's why we focus everything, our efforts, everything like that on Google Maps. Now, let's say you're coming up in the Google Maps. For Apple Maps, Apple has no necessarily map pack per se, because we're really working on the search engine on Google, which has the feature of a map pack or a Google Maps. Now, how do you come up in Apple Maps? Let's talk about that. That is purely a directory submission. And I did another webinar that I can actually share or do later on. But that is one of the directories that I highly recommend you as a business owner actually create on your own. And the reason for this is the verification on Apple Maps is very stringent. It's very difficult. And we can actually do it for you as a company. And we do that. But verification takes a while. And so a 10-minute task can actually be 10 weeks, depending on how well you can communicate. And so if you go and type in on Google, type in business Apple Maps or business Apple, you can then log in, claim your profile, and we can set it all up for you as a client of ours. You can set it all up, and that way you can start getting visible when someone is using Apple Maps to go, moving companies. That being said, the search intent, the some people call it the commercial intent. There's not as much commercial intent on Apple Maps, and so we put that in there as a benefit to actually help rank on Google Maps. But it's not going to be as powerful. Yelp or Bing at one point used Apple Maps, if I'm not mistaken, but now they use Yelp still for their Bing's personal map pack.
Yeah, to follow up on that. So the other thing too is keep in mind that managing your Apple Maps listing is also, it's very new, like 2023 new. You could set up the directory, but you couldn't really do much about it. Like you would have to log into it and through this excruciating process online on your computer and do it. They just launched the business, that the Apple Connect last year. So this is very new. One of the things that they do is they do utilize Yelp for their reviews. And so that has been the trend up until this point. And so a lot of the info that is necessarily that's being fed into the Apple listings, it's not necessarily what one, the business owner wants communicated from the listing, but two, it's also not what necessarily people are looking for. A lot of times people didn't want to see the Yelp reviews because they know maybe they have their own opinion about Yelp as a platform. And so up until this point, it wasn't a really trustworthy platform to go for. Like Travis was saying, when you're looking for that, when you have that commercial intent. Now, we are definitely aware that everybody's trying to compete with Google. And so we have our eyes on what Apple Maps is working on and what they're rolling out and what they're launching. And so it's definitely not something that we're like, oh, it's never going to happen. There's a very real chance it might happen. But because of their lack of depth in their search and in their algorithm, there's not so much value, for example, as ranking in the Google Maps.
Yeah, that's good. Did that make sense to everyone? It's really about that commercial intent, and that's key. Daniel, I got your chat. You said you got pulled in a call when I was answering your question. So sad. I think I'll send out the recording and make this recording visible. We're trying to figure out how to leverage this and what to do with this. This may be a client only thing. We might post on YouTube. But the short answer on it, Daniel, is basically Apple Maps doesn't have as much commercial intent. Google Maps has all the commercial intent. You need to make the Apple Maps profile yourself. We've probably already made it for you. You can reach out to us, but you claiming it, I mean, it's an online asset. So you want to claim it and own it yourself. And that's the biggest key, and that will help in Google rankings as well. I'll get this over to you. And if you want to email me or just email your CSM, Client Success Manager, and we'll make sure you've got the directions on how to do that. So